Hello everyone, this is Halushan. Welcome to another status update. I seem to be making these every few months now when I have a lot of stuff to cover, and today's not an exception. However, they do seem to always bring some sort of bad news, which is unfortunately also the case today. I gotta work hard to fix that in the future, but who cares about successful stories anyway? For now, let's talk about everything that's happened since my last status update. Before talking about anything else, let's first talk about motivation and how it works for me as well as for others in general. Motivation and inspiration is something that I've really lacked this year in my work or in general, which resulted in really low production. In fact, I found that I really depend on my motivation to even get anything done. This is probably bad, and I think part of the reason why my production is so low is because my life in general has been in complete disarray. But more on that later. It is commonly believed that people would really enjoy working on their passion. The issue is that it's not always true. For example, my passion, for as far as I remember, is making and developing video games. However, if that is the case, then I should also enjoy the programming of said video games. Programming is the biggest skill I have out of the three needed for making video games, but the truth is that I don't find programming fun at all. Not in the slightest bit. The juice that gets me through programming can be split into three parts: inspiration, feedback motivation, or by force. Inspiration appears when I come up with various ideas and find that in their most ideal form, they would be amazing. This inspires me to start working on a project, and the cooler I think the end result could be, the more inspired I feel. The issue with inspiration is that it's more of a mirage. When it comes to any project, the act of starting to work on it based off inspiration gets the inspiration to quickly disappear. This is why I've grown to be really wary of inspiration, but it kinda sucks too. I end up thinking about an idea or a project for a really long time, but never do it, because I think I'd never finish it. It's kind of like an annoying thought that's always out of my reach, but is always there. The second thing that gets me through programming, and I think to a larger extent work for other people, is what I call feedback motivation. Feedback motivation is something that happens when you create something and find it cool, or something cool happens. This is something Louis Rossmann talks about when he speaks about the fruits of your labor.
The thing about what I do right now is I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I do not have passion for reballing SMCs. I don't have passion for having to go through a bin of dead motherboards to find a system management controller chip. Half of them will probably not work because I can't buy a new one, put 96 little solder balls on there, and then put it onto another board only to figure out 2 hours later that it still doesn't work after reading through a 76-page schematic to try to figure out what's going on with it. That's not something that I find to be particularly exciting. So even though I don't necessarily enjoy doing all the fix-it work, what I found is that when I do the fix-it work and it makes other people happy, and then I can actually see the fruits of my labor, which is that something was able to be created that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be created, I then was able to develop a passion for being a repair tech that I didn't start with. But that passion came from several things. A, being able to make money at what I do. B, that money being able to support the lifestyle that I wanted. C, being able to be respected by my peers because I was good at what I did. D, being able to see the outcome of my work, being able to see that people's lives were better off as a result of me doing my work rather than worse off than me doing my work, which, let's face it, if any of you ever got to hear my recording demos, a lot of people's lives are worse off because of my work back then. And that's the case with what it is I do now. I don't find running 90 different wires on a board fun. I don't find searching through a 76-page schematic fun. I don't find trying to figure out why a board is randomly kernel panicking when there is no liquid or physical damage on it to be particularly exciting. But when a customer comes in the store who has said, Apple told me it would be $2,000 and I can fix their problem for $300, and they're happy, and I'm able to pay a staff of people that otherwise would have had crappier jobs, and we're all able to live independently and have decent lives as a result of it. That's what it's about. It's about seeing the outcome of our work. So This idea that you should do what you're passionate about, it's not about find your hobby, even if you're not really necessarily that good at your hobby and nobody wants to pay you for your hobby because you suck at it, and try to turn that into your job. That's not what I think about when I think about the idea of doing what you're passionate about.
You can see that Louis Rossman's point is that seeing his customers happy and the outcomes of his job is what gives him passion. Or maybe not passion, but motivation. This is the same for me, although expressed a bit differently. Maybe I'm a miserable person, but making people happy doesn't have that much of an impact on me. But what does make an impact on me is seeing something that I made work beautifully or interestingly. For example, the last time I was motivated with the core was when I was making the different roles for the Bane of Adelebia. Testing it out was fun, and it got me more and more motivated. The reason it made me feel fun is similar to the reason I find the Bane of Adelebia and Town of Salem fun. It allows you to see various combinations of roles, and it is interesting to see how it all plays out. The reason it was fun for me is because of how interesting this newfound functionality was. The reason why I find game modding fun is because I like seeing how things I add blend into the game and work seamlessly and just interestingly, which gives me motivation. It makes me want to do more or enjoy the game more. This is probably the most important part of any project and the main driver behind motivation, the thing that I call feedback motivation. The reason why I don't find the act of programming fun is because it is programming. I don't see a result unless I can test it. It's also why I would usually recommend to create projects by smallest amount of chunks that you can test. I never got good at art, which would have really helped me. Why? Well, multiple artists I spoke to in the past said that if you weren't good at art from a young age, it would be a lot harder to grow the skill. On top of that, if you are bad at art, you create some garbage and then end up not being satisfied, aka no feedback motivation. However, when you draw something good, you do get feedback motivation, although it should be noted that artists still do get artist blocks. Doing a lot of the same could get you bored, I guess, or maybe I'm wrong in thinking that they are satisfied with their work at all. I don't know. But anyway, this is why various fields of work bring different results. When you work on something that brings an immediate result, you'd probably not have much of an issue getting yourself motivated. However, the longer it takes to bring a result, any kind of result, the harder it is to finish. But sometimes this type of drive to get work done is not enough, which is why sometimes you gotta resort to the final method of getting work done: by force. Sometimes getting to do something by force comes from someone or something else, like an immediate threat, or an angry boss. However, I think it's even harder to get to do something by force on your own. It takes a lot of mental effort. This is the final resort at the end of the day, and at this point, you already don't enjoy whatever you're doing. If you are completely unstructured, not motivated at all, and have to force yourself to work on something, you're not getting anything done quickly by any stretch of the imagination. Getting things done by force has become pretty common for me, unfortunately, and even if I should still be used to doing things by force, I think it's a problem that I am voluntarily choosing to do things by force. Unfortunately, a lot of that comes from the core. Let's talk about it. In the last status update, I had mentioned how I was burnt out on working on the core, and decided to take a break. I did take a break, although it appears to not have saved any productivity. During the break and before the deadline of Discord, the staff of Discord announced that the rollout of privileged message content was being delayed by 3 months. I got 3 more months to fix it. This gave me a bit of hope as I was going through the break. I tried to work on other projects in the meantime with very little to no progress, and returned to the core in May by publishing a bug fix after a user noticed a bug that was not fixed for months. After the bug fix, I again dropped the core for a bit and made a Minecraft mod. Now, one of the methods I believed would have greatly promoted my Discord bot would be YouTube. The bot massively needed some kind of promotion to be known by users, and I planned to make YouTube videos about the bot for that. However, in order to do that, I wanted to feel confident in my bot's usefulness to other people, and I felt the least confident about the Bane of Adalebia, which is hard to understand and is essentially just a downgraded version of Town of Salem on Discord at the moment. Because of that, I planned a major update, which would introduce multiple features to the bot. The features that I planned to add were the ability to add a multiplier to various roles, improved anti-AFK for voice chats, and a massive update to the Bane of Adalebia, adding 2 new unique roles that never existed in Town of Salem, massively upgrading the action manager of the game to use buttons, and the addition of audio to the game to bring better awareness of time. With those changes, I did feel like I could have a promising game and would feel confident in promoting my bot. However, in practice, my progress was much slower than I initially imagined. Instead of working on the Bane of Adalebia, which was something I was most interested in for this update, I started off with the smaller features that I wanted to add. At first, being the lava shard multipliers. The internal components that added the multipliers were added pretty quickly and without much issue, but I could not see any result from that because, oh god, I had to add a way for server admins to add the role multipliers. However, I quickly ran into an issue. Do I update this old complex command that will need to be replaced by a slash command because of Discord, or do I redo the entire shards command from scratch for slash? I decided to take the latter option, which was now an unexpected amount of work I put onto myself. I was gonna put everything in the shards command into its slash counterpart, but at this point I came up with an idea of a new internal system that could have potentially made it easier to convert my old complex commands, like the shards command, into the slash command format. It was called the complex menu. So now I had more work to do because I had to make this interface that was as flexible as possible so that it would make the experience of creating these complex commands easier. This took a while, but I finally eventually finished it. So now I started working on the very basic part of the shards command, and I noticed that it didn't really make the process of creating these menus that much easier. But then something unexpected happened. If you've already watched my version 2.0.4 update video, you'd probably know that the core had a critical bug because I made an oversight. This bug took me a week to fix. I dropped everything that I was working on and pushed the update out. But now I'm left thinking to myself, what am I doing? What am I working towards? As time passes by, and September comes closer, which is the new deadline for privileged message content, the value of pushing the core out gets lower and lower. The main reason I've been working on the core for so long was for money. I saw that a lot of popular Discord bots make a lot of money, and seeing how much time I've spent and how many features my bot had accumulated, I saw no reason for it to not fail at doing this. However, as I'm back to reality, I have to realize that this journey was perhaps not worth it. I mean, yeah, I gained a lot of experience in what I was doing, but really, what is the point of working on it anymore? Let's say I finished this major update and released it. There's no way I'd get it done by now if I was working on it, so it'd only come out, by the optimistic expectations, on the 1st of August. More realistically, in the middle of August. And then I make more videos promoting the core, and then what? Assuming those videos are effective, the core grows to 100 servers and gets stuck. And now I have to go through the pain of getting all the commands on the core converted into slash, or I have to prove that I handle the user data quote-unquote safely, because apparently that's required to get verified as a Discord bot? You know, I think you guys should be the ones proving that you handle my user data safely, but whatever. The point is, even if I could grow my bot, there's just so much pain I'd have to go through to get it all working that I can't see myself making it. Just like I talked before about motivation, the conversion of alt commands into slash has absolutely nothing interesting about it. Oh look, it has buttons. Who fucking cares? It's just a bunch of rewriting that I now have to do, which squanders any plans I have for adding cool shit to the bot. But then I remember that I put the core before another major project that will go in a completely different direction. There is no reason for me to keep working on things that are related to Discord, really. For a long time, I've been planning that after releasing the core, I would actually work on something else. Here's what I planned to do this year for a really long time. I released version 2.0 and then dropped the core for a while. I planned to eventually stop working on the core and start focusing on other things. Immediately afterwards, the plan was to start getting into YouTube. Now it's not because I expect to get money from YouTube, it's because of a long-standing promise I have made of making a documentary on QuizUp. It's a long, untold story, but it is one that should have been told a long time ago. My previous attempts have all folded because of a lack of confidence and information I had, add to the fact that the story was still ongoing at the time. However, as time passed, I realized that I wanted to step up my presentation quality on YouTube. Now I do know that how a video looks isn't that vital to a video's success. For example, Lemon has a very basic editing style, a basic editing style that anyone could do. However, I believed that kind of presentation was unfit for what I wanted to do on YouTube. I wanted to put more work into my presentation. My initial plan was to just learn good video editing. However, now that I understand more about various software, I believe that it'd be a lot more beneficial to just learn Blender. Blender is a CGI software that allows you to create, well, many things. And it just so happens that it'd be very useful for me. Now of course, learning Blender won't make my videos suddenly look very good. I'd still probably benefit from learning After Effects and maybe going down the route of commentary channels by paying for fucking Premiere Pro plugins. Although I really don't want to touch any Adobe programs right now, and anymore. They keep crashing my graphics card like there's no tomorrow. But Blender does actually have a lot more use outside of YouTube for me. I'm pretty acquainted with the Unity engine, and I wanted to learn how to do 3D in it. Blender is the go-to modeling tool for making models for Unity. I have a life goal that involves CGI in general, which means I essentially kinda need to learn Blender in order to succeed. Speaking of which, if I succeed, I may also open up a money-making opportunity that is not YouTube, and there are multiple projects that one wouldn't expect that would also benefit from this. Remember the core? Well, I really don't like the fact that I'm using icons from Town of Salem. If I knew how to use Blender though, I could model some various objects and turn them into roll icons. So I needed Blender for it too, as a replacement for art. Because of how many benefits and reasons I have to go this route now, compared to the annoyances of continuing to work on the core, I've honestly made a tough decision. I will likely abandon the core. Or to put it simply, I will forfeit my plan to make the core a big Discord bot. It would return to the purpose it initially had from the start, to just be a Discord bot for my own Discord server and personal use. I may update it from time to time, but unless something unexpected happens, I see no reason at all to grow it anymore. I just want to be done with Discord in general. Shit, if I kept at it, I'm wondering what kind of other bullshit Discord would come up with that just caused Discord bot developers to slave away. A lot of the developers of bigger Discord bots have commonly expressed discontent of how they're being treated by Discord. So, what's the point? At the end of the day, after working on the core for almost 4 years, I gained nothing from it. Absolutely nothing. I think at this point it makes more sense to just cut my losses and move on. I've been stuck in this dump for too long, and so has my life. I really gotta get out of it, and I'm gonna work on it now. I don't think I was aware of it at the time, but I believe as I went through all these years with the core being my main focus, my quality of life has massively diminished to a point I'm now a massive loser who sits in his home all day. Apathy has taken hold of my life. All of my good habits are broken down. I barely have any reason to do anything, and I think I need to really do something about this. Now that I stopped working on the core, I will take some time off to take care of myself in general and not work on any serious project for a while. I'll be working on my life in general at the time, trying to get outside, improve myself as a person, reconstruct some good habits, and I'll come back to making some projects again. The issue here is that I've got to identify that, really, a lot of the shit I do online is just bad for me. First and foremost, let's talk about one of my most enjoyed pieces of media, drama YouTube. In 2020, I discovered a lot of these new commentary channels, Augie RFC, Nicholas Diorio, Boblax. Before then, I didn't even know these creators existed, and despite being someone who generally finds YouTube drama interesting, the whole sphere was boring to me. Finding that group of creators really made everything fun again. However, what quickly became a problem is the fact that unlike in the past, when videos about really anything weren't that long, at most 20 minutes, they were now frequently surpassing 40 minutes. And a lot of the creators were just posting live streams anyway, that take hours long to watch. So now to catch up with the ongoing drama, you have to watch multiple live streams and hour-long videos to know what's going on. The issue is that I'm pretty bad at focusing on things when there's something as distracting in the background. I can't watch an After Hours and write code at the same time with the same speed. It just doesn't happen. It's an actual distraction. I've heard content creators say that they listen to a podcast or a video while editing videos. How? While editing videos, you have to listen to your own video multiple times to know what's being said. How can you listen to a podcast and your video at the same time and understand both? And that's what all of this really is. It's a massive distraction. I end up not working just to listen to this shit that really doesn't matter at all. I've been fighting distractions for a really long time and constantly failing. I use some new program to show me how much I waste time, or maybe block those websites from being accessed, but it ultimately doesn't help me. I end up coming back to these bad habits either way. And perhaps the way I look at distractions isn't fully correct either. You see, if I'm motivated and interested in a project, I wouldn't even care about YouTube. When that happens, I often end up just turning off the videos and focusing on my work voluntarily. So while I think the distractive nature of YouTube is bad, it appears that it is more relevant to keeping schedules and being capable of turning it off appropriately for reasons other than work motivation. Which is the other reason I'm now gonna try and build schedules. For a long time, I thought that is just a me thing, that I don't have schedules in my life. And just like with distractions, I also tried to make schedules multiple times. However, multiple issues contribute to my schedules always failing. First of all, I can't create a schedule when I sleep the way I do. If you don't know, my sleep schedule is completely broken. I sleep at completely random times that are very unpredictable. And the length I sleep for is random too. Sometimes I sleep 10 hours non-stop, and then continue to feel sleepy afterwards. Sometimes I sleep for a few hours, then feel energetic, but then a few hours later go to bed again for another few hours. Sometimes I feel sleepy, but then try to go to bed and just can't fall asleep. Sometimes it seems like I sleep more than spend time awake, and yeah, you get the point. It's a fucking mess. Just like the other things, I tried to fix this multiple times and failed. But back then, it was because I had literally no solution. Now I kinda do have a solution, and will actually go for it. The reason I couldn't have a good sleeping schedule is because things keep happening all over the day, including the nighttime. which is unfortunately the most interesting time. But now I do have a potential stable sleeping time, and I will be going for it moving forward. After I recover my sleep schedule and stabilize it, I plan to work on my actual daytime schedule, and I'll be working my way up from there. This will take a decent amount of time though, and for that reason, I also don't want to take on any large projects during this time, because it may get me caught up with trying to finish something, which risks breaking my schedule. This better be successful this time. Otherwise... Future Haleshian, if you're listening to this, try this shit again. I think fixing it all at once is really important now. Other than YouTube and Blender, I still do have some projects in mind. Last status update, I talked about a Minecraft server. While I did try to work on it ever since that video, nothing ever was really achieved. It's because the project has been stuck in this coding phase where I had to make a lot of basic concepts and get them working to be able to even have a functioning prototype. Because of that, I never reached a result and got no motivation from it. Maybe if I force myself to, I could get more work done, but I don't know. While working on the server, I remember asking a lot of people I know about whether it makes sense to work on the core or the Minecraft server, and the majority said that I should work on the Discord bot. This essentially got the Minecraft server abandoned, but I haven't fully abandoned the idea yet. It's just that I will now only ever work for it if I find more people interested in the idea. So basically, if you like the idea of me creating a Minecraft server with minigames in the style of Fall Guys, tell me in the comments below. Besides that, I'm actually siding more with the Minecraft mod that I also mentioned in the last status update. The Better Skulk mod I made was surprisingly positively received, which makes me think that making that mod may not be a bad idea. The video for Better Skulk is a 2 out of 10 on my channel, only being surpassed by QuizUp, and the actual mod got hundreds of downloads. This was just a tiny mod, and the mod idea I have in mind is really big, so I've been really teetering on whether to go for it or not. Other than that, I've got a bunch of personal quality of life projects to make, and then finally YouTube. Just like I mentioned before, my main goal with YouTube is to work up my skills and then eventually make the QuizUp documentary. It's something I will make, and I want to do it right. Before I attempt it, I will likely build up a number of videos on my channel about games and YouTube drama to practice and grow my skills. I have a lot of video ideas, old and new, so I definitely wouldn't have an issue finding topics. I just have to find the time. So, in conclusion, the core gets abandoned, I need to stop being a loser and get my shit together, it's time to move on, and new projects are on the rise. It feels weird posting these status updates onto YouTube that get oddly personal. Better watch out not to become a fucking lolcow. But I have no audience anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. Yet. Anyway, thank you for watching, whoever you are, and have a nice day.